All right, let's dive in. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me on the line, they will be in town later on this summer over at the Hoyt Sherman for the IMOMSOHARD tour. Kristin and Jen are on the line. Hey, guys, how we doing today?
We're great. How are you?
Good. I'm glad. Hey, I've got one little thing I got to let you know. I do have a special guest in studio with me right now because she wasn't going to be able to make the show here in Des Moines because of her parents' 40th anniversary. My wife, Steph, is here. She's a huge fan of you guys.
Hi.
Aww. Hi, Steph.
Hello.
So this was my second place trophy for her.
Well, I say come anyways because we'll appreciate you being there.
I know, right? But I'm the only child, so they will notice if I'm not there.
We could hire a stand-in. They'd never notice. Well, Kristin and Jen from My Mom's So Hard on the line. Show's coming up here. I got to ask, because you guys are kind of living the life I want to live, how did all of this start for you? I mean, how did the podcast come around? What was the moment that you were like, we should do this?
Well, we started out as a web series. You know, our main, which Steph probably knows,
I do.
we're originated as a web series on Facebook, and then it just kind of like lit fire from there, and that took us to our first tour and our book and all this other stuff. And then when we've been planning to do a podcast for so many years, but we just didn't have the ability to sort of carve out the space and do it in the way we wanted to do it. And then when a pandemic hits, it turns out you do have time. So we started the podcast during the pandemic, which I don't know if Jen and I just feel like everything that we do needs to be the hardest start possible, because we started this web series when Jen had like an infant. So we just always do things kind of against the grain and when it's seemingly the most difficult. But it turns out it was a really nice time to start the podcast. And boy, we felt so supported and so much love because we hit the ground running for sure.
Okay, so the podcast didn't come first then?
No.
Okay. I was completely wrong in that. I thought that it was podcast during COVID and then everything kind of took off from there.
You didn't listen to his wife.
No, we started doing the videos about 7 or 8 years ago.
Okay.
And we at first we were just like, you know what, we should be as peppy and we should cheer up moms because, you know, you're just like doom scrolling through social media in the middle of the night while you're up feeding babies. And we were like, there's nothing really funny for moms right now. So when we went to do our first video, we were so like exhausted that I forgot my daughter's name.
Which I would just like to say was the greatest thing that's ever happened to us because we recorded it. And I've, as a good friend and a supporter of my best friend, I've never laughed harder. And that's when we knew like where we wanted to be in the space, like that we wanted to kind of like show the less polished version and just like lean into friendship and just having a good time with each other, whether we talked about the kids or whether we talked about eyeliner, just showing that like the friendships between women are so important and strong and fun and loose and not precious. And it seemed to resonate because now we're on our fourth stand-up tour and we literally can't believe it.
It is something about that where being a mom isn't a polished thing. That's the one thing I have learned, that you do kind of stumble and, make your way through it. Kristin and Jen from My Mom's So Hard on the line. Their show coming to the Hoyt Sherman Place July 15th. IMOMSOHARD.com for more information.
Yeah, I was just, as I was listing all of the things off to my husband about what you guys have done, you've done the web videos, you've done the podcast, you've done in a book for us moms, you've done a children's book. Which one of those is your favorite, or like what type of things are coming up next for you guys?
Oh, gosh.
Well, I was going to say these live shows are really our favorites because when you're like doing stuff online or on social media, people comment and things like that. And we have such an awesome crew, like no mommy wars in our bunch. Like we've got 2 million moms and maybe like once there's been a mom who like started something. Like it's just this awesome bunch. But when we do the live shows and we get to see their like smiling faces, it's surreal because it's like, oh, they actually are real people out there. So we will always love doing these live shows the best. But I don't know, Kristin, do you think the wine was always a really good time because we got free wine?
Yeah, we made a wine. It's called Accomplice. That was really special because we had like, it wasn't just somebody saying, here's a bottle of wine, slap your name on it, and then just promoted a bunch. We like were part of the process. They eventually had to tell us to leave. They were like, you guys have been at the vineyard for too long.
You sampled quite enough. Yeah.
There's a bucket for a reason. And we're like, well, that's because you guys are lame. And then they're like, you guys stop giving dating advice. This is a meeting. And then, I don't know. I think we really really loved writing the book. I think that's something that we're gearing up to do again. And the children's book was so special in a weird, like a way that we hadn't flexed that muscle to like sort of write to the mother through the kids, but also take the gaze of the kids and write to the mom. That was, and by the way, rhyming is the hardest thing you'll ever do.
Nobody, yeah. Dr. Seuss, there's a reason he was a doctor, you guys. You need a PhD to make all those work.
Jen and I were like, what rhymes with sky? Like, it was the hardest meter to write in, but we also had an incredible artist Paul Briggs, who we were lucky enough to get, who was during the pandemic and a friend of a friend, and his wife also liked what we did. So the wives are all like really helpful to us in every direction, Steph. Thank you. And we got to do that book, and every time I look at it, I think, wow, what this is crazy that our names are on the front of this.
Kristin and Jen from My Mom So Hard on the line with us right now. Show coming to Hoyt Sherman Place July 15th. So the pandemic for you guys actually was a really good thing, it sounds like.
Oh my God, no. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I've kind of blacked a lot of that out.
Well, I mean, it sounds like that was kind of the, like, hey, we got we can take a couple more steps. It kind of slowed things down enough to make it happen. Or am I just completely way off base?
No, you're right. But I think it certainly forced us to be home. And so then we had to rethink our approach and what we were going to do. But I think Jen and I both felt this incredible, the word responsibility sounds too serious, but we were just like, man, we got to stick together. We got to like do as many lives on Facebook as we can. We set up like for the first like 4 months, I think we did 3 lives a week, which was just through Facebook, like interactive video, if you will, like a Zoom kind of with everybody. And we played games, and we had one night where Jen put on makeup and then I made fun of her. And we just tried to create some sort of a rhythm so that this really scary, lonely time didn't feel so scary and lonely. And I think, we then were able to not get used to it, but we were like, we've got a job to do. We have to like keep going with this. And then that eventually led into us doing the podcast. But all of it was incredibly difficult because Jen and I had to be apart for the first several months. So it was no less challenging for us. It was no less scary, but we did feel like we had a job to do in that time, you know?
And it was the perfect time. I mean, there were so many, like, coming from the other side of the spectrum. That was the perfect time. We were, as a mom, I was looking for those outlets. What are all these other moms doing to survive? And everything you guys were talking about is always so topical. I mean, I think, well, that's probably my next question. Like, do you guys just have a running list of things to talk about on the podcast? And every time I'm like, oh my God, yes, let's go into this.
Although she won't have any of these conversations with me.
Well, you wouldn't enjoy them or appreciate them, unfortunately, the way that like your mom friend will, because our podcast this week is about Love is Blind. So every mom needs some kind of like escapism. Like usually it's murder, but currently it's Love is Blind. And so we just like break that down. We really have some strong opinions on Chelsea.
Yeah. Sometimes we talk about important stuff, and then we're like, let's talk about something that's the least important thing we can think about, and then we just get to experience joy.
And I'm out on a walk just like busting a gut to myself, and all the strangers around me are like, what is going on with this woman?
Well, usually Jen and I, we walk in the room and like someone's like, stop talking. Like, we got to wait for the podcast, and we're not even rolling yet. And I'm like, oh, Jen, my son did it again. And our, Tony, who's trying to record our podcast, he's like, just wait.
Save it for air.
Yeah.
We used to yell at each other about that when I was doing the morning show. Save it for air, because you want to get that reaction. Kristin and Jen from IMOMSOHARD on the line. Show coming up. We'll have all the details at the website. What else is going on for you guys? Like, what's the next step of this?
Oh, I think that Jen and I have a real want and desire to get something in TV, like whether we produce it or sort of help other women kind of get their voices out there, or we're in it, or we write it, or whatever it is. We just want to develop television, I think, because we feel like that's a space that sort of needs the voices that we're putting forward, and also that we're seeing a lot of other women put forward, which is really great. It's really exciting. So I think that's something that we would like to do. Also, fitness modeling is
100%.
I think we're both really looking forward to. Look at how he's not laughing, Jen. He's like, oh God.
No, when I was looking you guys up on YouTube earlier today, I stumbled across when you guys were wearing the Spanx.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's your point? What's your point?
Yeah,
It was just 3
He's
minutes.
digging a hole. I'm digging a hole.
Digging a hole, sir. Steph is like, I told you not to bring it up. You don't know if they were on their way to a wedding. Like, what are you doing?
The first line, I'm wearing 2 sets of Spanx. It's like, okay, I don't know where this is going, but let's ride.
Well, sir, not in a comfortable direction, I'll tell you that much.
No.
Kristin and Jen, IMOMSOHARD.com for all the information.
So last thing, you guys are on tour. I love the name of the last tour, the Escape Tour, and now it's Ladies' Night. So you guys are essentially also getting the freedom away from your husbands and your children. Do you guys get to stop and do anything fun out on these stops?
Or do you want to?
Yeah, I'll tell you what the funnest part is: staying in a hotel room by yourself and being able to poop without somebody coming in the room.
It's a dream come true.
It is. Just a shower without somebody asking you to open a juice box or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a break.
You can watch your own crappy TV and you don't have to hear like some obnoxious YouTuber that's making $1 billion talk in the background. It's like, it's glorious. But honestly, we both feel like we're getting away with something because the way we set up the tour is that we're only gone like 2 or 3 nights at a single time, and then we're home for like a week. So it works out really well for us as moms that we don't have to feel the ache of being away from them, because you do miss them, even though all they want you to bring them is a gift from the world.
It's like when they're babies and you've had such a long day with them and you are so glad when they finally go to sleep, and then you lay in your bed and you just scroll through pictures you've taken of them.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. It's a real hostage situation sort of
Right,
love.
Stockholm syndrome kind of.
Yeah.
But we're happy we can't wait. And this show is like encompasses a lot of things about like, especially when when you start going through puberty or you start getting into middle school and getting into these harder years, like we put it out there, and I think we're really excited, and it's definitely going to be a rowdy show. It is something that we're pretty proud of.
Awesome. Kristin and Jen from My Mom So Hard. It's coming to town. We'll have the details at the bottom of the page. Thank you guys so much for coming on today, and thank you for having some fun with my wife as well. She really wants to go to that show.
Steph had so much fun.
Yeah.
Have fun. Congrats to your parents, and we're sorry we're going to miss you at the show.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.